I'm Emily Thomas, and this is the 2025 Kia Carnival Hybrid. For our test program, we bought the 2025 Kia Carnival Hybrid EX. The base price was $42,700. We didn't get any additional packages, but we did get carpeted floor mats and the pearl white paint. With a destination fee of $1,395, our grand total came to $44,855. So what is this thing? It's a minivan, or as Kia calls it, an MPV, multi-passenger vehicle, also known as a minivan. It competes with the Toyota Sienna, the Honda Odyssey, and the Chrysler Pacifica, which is essentially the entire US market for minivans. So who is this Carnival really for? It's pretty ideal for families because what screams multi-passenger more than a family? The Carnival gets a refresh for the 2025 model year, which includes updated controls and the hybrid powertrain. You can still get an internal combustion engine version of the vehicle. It comes with a 1.6-liter turbocharged hybrid powertrain paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission. This is pretty similar to what you might find in the Kia Sorento Hybrid or their Sportage Hybrid. According to the EPA, fuel economy comes in around 33 miles per gallon overall. The Carnival Hybrid is available in front-wheel drive only. There are no all-wheel drive options. With the EX trim came 19-inch wheels. When we purchased the first generation of the Carnival, I really liked its handling and styling, but at that time in the market, we also had available to us the Toyota Sienna Hybrid and the Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid. So not having a hybrid powertrain really felt like a big missed opportunity to me. But now with the 2025 model year, we do have it. When some of our other testers first got into this vehicle, they did not really like the interior and they weren't pretty enthused about the brown interior colors. But as someone who takes their kids in vehicles all the time, I think the brown actually is better suited to our family because of all the dirty footprints and tiny handprints that are going to be everywhere. It'll probably hide it a lot better. The 2025 Carnival Hybrid has a 12.3-inch touchscreen display. Kia says that they've updated the controls. I found that it looks pretty similar to recent Kias that we've had, like the Sportage, where you have pretty large icons on the screen. They're easy enough to use. We always love when there are physical buttons for changing things like climate and volume. The weird part about it is that you have to toggle between volume and media settings and the climate settings, which is not great to have to do while you're driving. Personally, I tend to keep this on climate and then just use the steering wheel to adjust my volume. The vehicle's also equipped with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is always nice to see. It has a wireless phone charger, and a personal favorite setting of mine, which I love to see in Kias, is the driver-only setting for climate, because if I'm just in the vehicle, I don't want to have the entire climate system running, and I like to just be able to isolate it to me. Interior cabin space is a little bit of a disappointment for me. You do have this nice, deep, covered storage bin up front, and I like the little well here to keep maybe like my garage door opener and keys, maybe my car chapstick. On the passenger side, you have this tiny little cubby, which is good for maybe storing your phone or something for a passenger. But what I really wish that it had was the through bin that we see in a lot more SUVs now and in some of the other larger vehicles that sits under the center console and is great for things like storing my handbag and my takeout containers or anything that I want to hide from my children. You also have cup holders, which is key for an MPV or a van. I like that there's these two up here, but also the two at the back of the center console is great for just even if you're done with a cup and you need to move it out of the way, or if your rear passengers need to be able to put additional beverages. There's even a little phone slot there, so again, another place to store a device. The door pockets leave a lot to be desired. They're a little too narrow, and the beverage spot is kind of small at an angle, so it's not really ideal. So there are a few other family-friendly features, like USB-C ports throughout the vehicle. You have two up front here. There are two on the sides of the front seat backs, and there's two in the third row. While I do like that there are two ports in the back, the placement of them could either be helpful or not. If you have maybe like older kids that are sitting in the back charging a device and trying to use it at the same time, having them up here on the side of the seat back might be a little tricky unless you have a really long cable. Or the mom hack is that, your cable's too short, so while the device is charging, you can't actually use it, so it gets to let you limit some screen time in the vehicle. I also really like that there are these buttons here on the side of the front passenger seat that allow you to adjust the front passenger seat without having to get up and go to the other side of the vehicle. So if you needed to move the front seat forward, or adjust the seat back angle, you're able to do all of that from the driver's side or even from the back seat, which is really great because then you can make adjustments for whatever you need, like more room to pass through the second row or make some extra space for a rear-facing car seat, anything like that. There's also a rear-facing in-cabin camera up here that lets you have a passenger view so mom can see what the kiddos are really up to. As cool as it is to have the technology of that passenger view camera, we feel like it's a major miss that Kia did not include an electronic child door lock button right here in the driver controls for a minivan that's going to likely have small children. This would allow for you to push a button up front and prevent your children from being able to open the rear doors while you're driving. While we do have the button that keeps them from being able to play with the windows, it would be great to have the button that also locks those rear doors. Instead, you have to go and do it yourself on the rear door jambs. Even our 2025 K5 that we bought for our test program, which is a sedan, has that button that lets you do the electronic child door lock. So it's kind of a miss for this minivan. And now for my kid's favorite feature. So sliding rear doors, it's a classic minivan feature, but it makes access super easy, and even just being able to have the doors open so wide when you're in the garage without taking up a ton of room is a great asset. I love that it's easy and low enough for even my little guy to be able to get in by himself without feeling like he has to climb into the vehicle. The second row has pretty good space. Even if you didn't have car seats back here, I found the second row seats to be pretty comfortable. The seat cushion is long enough for me. You have the ability to adjust your vehicle seat back here. You can even move the seats forward and back so that you can adjust for whatever you have going on behind you, or if you need more room for like a rear-facing car seat. I also really like that there are integrated seat belts on these captain's chairs. Each of the seats can move independently, which is really nice. They each have their own track. Kia also calls this second row center seat a child minding seat. So essentially, you can move it up so that if you're the driver or the front passenger, you'd be able to attend to the child that's in the seat. Or if on like a long road trip, you need to separate unruly siblings, you'd be able to move them a little bit further away from everyone else. So typically both of my kids are in the outboard seating positions in their respective car seats. And occasionally, or sometimes on really long car rides, I need to be able to come and sit in the back between them. So I really like that this center seating position is like a full-sized seating position so that I can sit comfortably between the two of them in their car seats and have good seatbelt access and just all the good things. When it comes to installing car seats in the Carnival, it's really great that every second row seating position has dedicated lower anchors. There are 2 sets of lower anchors in the third row, the 2 outboard seats, and every rear seating position is equipped with a top tether anchor, which I absolutely love. In addition to all of that, another one of my favorite features for these MPVs, or vehicles that have lots of seating positions, is to be able to have these second row window shades, which come in clutch with kids because you can block out the sun. They don't complain about getting too hot on car rides, and if they're napping, it's also great. And the nice thing here in the Carnival is it's not just in the second row. The third row has them too. So it really just makes it for a better experience all around for whoever is riding in this back seat. There are 2 levers here. However, make sure you're using the right lever. One of them, the one that's more forward, really just allows you to fold the second row seat back down, which would be great if you needed to have more storage area or put something all the way across. The one that you want to gain access to the third row is going to be this lever back here, which will fold the seat back forward and allow you to also slide the second row seat out of the way. So if you have a minivan, you're likely to be hauling a lot of stuff at some point. And even with the third row up, look how much cargo space you have. You have this nice deep well that just gives you all this extra room to be able to put all your bags and suitcases and whatever you need to put back here. It's really great. I always like when they have these extra little cubby holes on the side for like sunscreens or umbrellas or, whatever things you want easy access to and you don't want it to get lost in the shuffle of all the other cargo. So getting into the third row is decent, especially with this second row folded down. And if you have kids that are having to get back here, it will probably be even easier for them. So sitting in the third row isn't exactly comfortable. You obviously have limited leg room and you can adjust that because you can move the second row seat backs. The seat cushions are kind of short, so it might kind of hit your thighs in an uncomfortable place and just force you to readjust a lot during the trip. I do like that the head restraints back here can be stowed for driver visibility, but in order for you to use them properly, you really need to raise them up so that you have proper whiplash protection. The thing I like about the stowed design as the safety engineer is that when it's in the stowed position, it overlaps and juts out a lot, so it's like really uncomfortable to sit against. So it's gonna force the user to be more comfortable and move it up. In the third row, the vents are up here on the ceiling. I've come to really appreciate that because when the vents are lower in the frame, sometimes your own body can cover them up or they just don't work as effectively at moving the air back here, so it gets really stuffy. With the vents up on the ceiling, you have less likely a chance of that happening, and so it can be a more comfortable experience for your third row passengers. Unlike the second row, the third row center seat is not really wide enough for a person. Well, as you can see, I'm already infringing on this outboard seating position here in order for me to sit comfortably. And when I go to buckle up, I kept running into the problem where in order for me to buckle up, I end up pulling this seatbelt out too far and it locks up on me. So buckling up in the third row center might be a bit of a challenge for some people. And when you need to fold down your third row so that you can have even more cargo room, there's a nice handle, but it does require some heft to get them all the way down. You even have the little flap so you can cover up those hinges, and it'll give you even more cargo space for all of your things. So we're out here on our test track in the Carnival Hybrid. I'm not a tall driver at all, but I am able to adjust the seat enough so that I have a good driving position. I can comfortably see over the hood, which I like. The driving position is a little bit wide set for the driver's seat, and so being able to get to the padded surfaces to rest my arm, not as easy. There's also very minimal padding here on the door sill, and because I'm short and I have to move my seat pretty far up, I only catch the padded portion of the center console with my elbow. But otherwise, I'm able to see really well. Of course, with this minivan, you have a nice big, wide open windshield and thin pillars up here in the front. In the back, I'm able to have great view out of the rear windshield. The rear pillars are kind of thick, but thankfully the rear window is really wide, so you still get a nice decent view. As with most Kias, many safety systems come standard on the vehicle, which is great. This includes automatic emergency braking, forward collision warning, blind spot warning, rear cross traffic warning. You get adaptive cruise control, you get lane keeping assist, and lane centering assist. In addition to all that, Kia has standard on this Carnival, their rear occupant alert system with sensors. So what that means is that you get the system that gives you a reminder at the end of your trip if you've opened a rear door either just prior to or during the trip. They'll give you an audio-visual message to check for the back seats at the end of trip. If you exit the vehicle and lock the car without having access to the rear, the motion sensors turn on. And so the system is able to actually detect occupant motion in the rear cabin. We really like that. We love that the system is standard, that it comes factory enabled so that consumers don't have to turn the system on themselves. And we love that Kia is taking the extra step of not just having a basic door logic system, but they're also incorporating occupant sensing. The area where I feel like this Carnival is lacking when it comes to rear seat safety is a rear belt minder. This is a vehicle that you're going to buy for your family as it grows, not just maybe in size or like number of passengers, but rather also as your children grow up. So they're going to move from using their harnessed car seats to using the seatbelt, and they're going to be in those back seats. And we want to make sure that they're buckled up for every single ride. And so having a rear belt minder is crucial, especially for growing families. The fact that they did not incorporate that in this freshening is just a major disappointment for me. So that's it for the 2025 Kia Carnival Hybrid. I was personally super excited when I found out that we bought a Carnival Hybrid. After driving it, I still think that having that hybrid powertrain was absolutely a step in the right direction, but personally I needed a heavier touch on that refreshening. There's still a lot of great family-friendly features, but some that are really crucial that are still lacking. And I think Kia can do a better job of making this a vehicle that is just great for families as they grow with their children. But if what you were waiting for is that hybrid powertrain and a really functional minivan, this is still a great option for you. For more on minivans, visit consumerreports.org.